So, unexpected birth. I just got to Atlanta on Friday, visiting family, and my cousin, who is also a doula client of mine, was due, I think, like 3 weeks from now. And I got a phone call yesterday, which was Saturday, letting me know that the hospital wanted to do an induction and some other things. Long story short, I hopped on the road and made it there last night. And, this traveling doula stuff never ceases to amaze me. I'm exhausted. Let me just make that clear. I drove 12 hours, 11 hours to get here on Friday. And then I drove 4 hours yesterday to get to Asheville. And then I drove 3.5 hours back. Yesterday was a little bit more traffic, but it was a beautiful birth. Lots of family, lots of connection and just beautiful, funny moments. But I really wasn't expecting to have to hop back on the road. And I guess that's something that, when you're doing this traveling work, you cannot always guarantee like the timing, right? So if you have clients that are potentially or are high risk, there's an additional margin that has to come into play when you're considering your travel period. So my typical travel period is 2 weeks before, or on-call period is 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after a client's due date. When I'm traveling, though, it's pretty much planning for like a week and a half before the due date, a week or so, and then a week after. That's kind of like the sweet spot that I found, depending on the client, who they are, if we know each other, if I'm staying at a hotel, if I'm staying in home. Those are all factors as to how soon I get there. In this case, I just so happened to be about the same distance away from this client that I would be if I was home. But because, again, this was like holiday vacation, it was just unexpected. But I'm grateful because, my son was able to just hang out with family and I was able to do like a quick turnaround. Baby is healthy, mom is healthy. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it never ceases to amaze me. I'm always like, oh, okay, like this has happened or that has happened. And this story just reminded me as well, like there's always something that's going to happen with birth. There's always going to be a new story. There's always going to be a fun anecdote. There's always going to be little surprises here and there. And so what I'm grateful for primarily is that it all worked out and that I didn't have to miss this birth. And it is for a family member. This was our newest member of our family. And even though I haven't been at every single birth in my family, I've been at a significant number of all the births in my family over the last 23 years. And so some of my doula babies are as old as 23. In my family, as old as 20. And obviously as young as today, years old. But it's really an honor and a privilege to know that I got into this work organically and that it's something that my great-grandmother did as a midwife, that she was, supporting families through birth, and she delivered all of my great-grandmother's children, including my grandmother, at home in the Raleigh-Durham area of North Carolina. And so kind of carrying that legacy on a bit, where most of my cousin's children, I've been able to be their doula and support them. And so it's a nostalgic moment. I have family, a significant portion of my family on a particular side of my family is from Asheville. And so if you go now or if you Google it or whatever, it's like heavily gentrified and you almost forget all the Black and Indigenous folks that are like from that area. And so it was really just a beautiful moment as well for me, where it was like, our family is still iterating and living there and carrying on legacy there through children and family in a space that we've been for several generations. And so it was just such a beautiful experience. But child, I'm telling you, I'm tired. And so just thinking about, what my aftercare is going to look like, I'm still very much so visiting family, but now, instead of resting up in preparation for being on call, I am now rejuvenating, resetting, and resting up. And now the 2-week on call I was preparing for is no longer relevant. And so this work is so unpredictable, and it always leaves me with like, how am I gonna navigate this moving forward in terms of how long I want to be traveling. It's like, it seems like somehow, some way, somebody out of state is going to be like, yo, I want you to be my doula. And I'm going to be like, okay. Not everyone, but family, word of mouth referrals, close friends, and stuff like that. Those are people that I will absolutely serve, support, and accommodate. And so, yeah, it's a reflective moment, but it was just so beautiful watching my little cousin expand her family with her husband and welcoming the newest Clemens gal into the fold, and getting to spend time with family in the meantime as we navigated this particular birth scenario. And so, yeah, your girl is tired, but this is also, a day in the life. 3 weeks early is, like I said, I could have, if I had chosen to like go out of the country or anything else for the holiday season, this would not have ended the same way. But I'm really grateful that I was visiting with family within the same amount of distance so that I could just hop on the road and get there. And so I'm just grateful and contemplative about, just what that looks like moving forward in terms of supporting and serving people. But I am gonna take a nap, even though I had like a double shot of, I think I had like a caramel latte double shot this morning, but a double shot of anything will not supersede getting like 1 or 2 hours of sleep. And y'all, if y'all don't know, in a hospital, even when you have an opportunity to rest, because, the mom is resting, your client is resting, or their family is resting, the staff is still coming in that room like every 30 minutes. Sometimes they're turning the lights on. Sometimes they're just checking in, asking questions, shuffling things around. It is not an environment that is conducive to consistent rest. And so I really appreciated how the dad was able to just like put a cot out, roll up, and like snore through everything, like slept like a baby, like so peacefully. I don't want to say like a baby. Babies don't always sleep well, but so peacefully through the whole process. And I was just looking like, must be nice. But if anyone out there knows, once you have children, you get this supersonic hearing. I always say I can hear Aunt P. And so that means that if there's the slightest interruption in rest, I'm pretty much up until the next drowsy moment, which could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, or whatever the case may be. So that is kind of where I'm at, where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm exhausted. But praise God, I made it back safely. Did not fall asleep on the road. Coffee did get me there. I did have to like stop and do some jumping jacks and get some oxygen for the second half of the ride. But yeah, I'm gonna debrief in my mind and my heart and my spirit, and rest for the rest of my time. So anyway, that's just an update. I still got my little hospital tag. I still got that on. I'm fresh off the road and checking in, but yeah, grateful. Really, really grateful.